Some people wonder about, look, you know, for example, like I lived in Memphis, I had an office in Gracelands for 18 months. For example, the sequence in the gospel tent, which some people said, oh, that's me making stuff up. But actually, I found that man at 70 called Sam Bell. And I have on video him telling me the story of them going to the juke joint, then I was going into the gospel tent, then him having a spiritual experience, then him going in there and the pastor Greg said, leaving be his for the Spirit. He told me that verbatim, right? Now, in the same way, I was reminded, I got this newspaper article from the 50s, and a young African-American kid talking about how Elvis used to teach them football, but also what he says in the letter is, he'd go down and he said, yeah, he was pretty good at picking the guitar, but I used to go down and see he and his friend Bibi were sitting around picking together a lot, you know? So nothing in the film, like I've had to compress time and things, but nothing in the film doesn't have an actual reference, you know? And that's important because although we're dealing with the larger idea in the film, it's absolutely rooted in, well, 5 years of research and fact and reaching out to friends and people. But having said that, the difficult part that you're asking, you should talk about that, Os, because I think, well, that's the one thing you see. In that scene, Bibi's basically going like, Big Red was really at this bus, and you all know, of course, there were places they could play and places they couldn't play. And some of the sweet inspirations later in Elvis's career, that once he was going to Texas to perform, he said, you leave the girls at home. And he said, I'm not coming, right? And then put them up front as they drove around the dome in Texas. So it's a very, very large subject, but this thing that Bibi was in danger. I mean, at the time, Louis Armstrong had white performers in his band and they threw a bomb into the theater and blew it up. You know, it was really dangerous. So Elvis was under some danger as well, and you should answer the question, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk for days about all this, but one of the most impactful things to me was when we first started working on the fact that Elvis would go down to Beale Street as his solace, as his way to spiritually recharge, and so seeing like the owner of Club Handy saying, so many nights he was the only white face in there, and just the love that he had, and then at a time where it's trying to be pulled apart and says, is that me? It feels like Senator Eastwood over there trying to ruin this conversation. But you know, the fears that are thrown upon people and trying to stay within a lane that people have tried to control. And so for him, that was one of the most moving scenes for me to perform. And it was really, I mean, I'd never seen, it was really hard to film. Like, I could get emotional right now, it was really hard to film because I remember looking out there and seeing the divide. And I'd never seen that with my own eyes. The color divide of an audience. And it was so disturbing to me and so visceral. It made me so disgusted. And so in that moment of going, am I going to just stand up on this stage and do what they want me to do, play it safe? Or am I going to destroy this divide right now? Led by love. And that was really exhilarating to be a part of. And then to get to see the dancing and to get to be a part of that and jump into the audience. And I mean, it was one of the most moving days I've ever had filming. So yeah, we could talk for a long time, but I'll leave it there.
I see you one right there. Yep. Steve.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, first of all, I would love to thank you for this incredible masterpiece. And I can tell that you can see the soul, how powerful the soul is in your set. But I was wondering about, I think that the post-production in not just Elvis, would love to hear from you the creative process for you to do the editing part.
What's your name?
Prakriti. It's a tough name.
I have got to close this door. It keeps banging on us. Good, I've locked the door. This is going to be a long question. You know, I live in preparation. I live in collaboration. There are no extras on my set. I call them all actors. When anyone turns up for a costume fitting, no matter you're in the background of a show like that, Sam and I have already worked out a backstory, and we tell you your backstory. I say that because everybody collectively owns the storytelling. Collectively owns, doesn't matter who you are, what you do on my films, we all collectively own it. And we build a world around the film. Because you know it's called play acting, a screenplay, and kids can't play if they're frightened. So I see it as my #1 job to create an environment where fear is kept away, where you can fail, where you can play, where you can give your all to something bigger than me, and that is the story we're serving, in the hope that at 2 hours or 2.5 hours on someone's Saturday night, that you leave behind something that uplifts them or moves them or makes them be able to face the next day or the next week, or maybe it stays with them forever. So that is the collective gesture we're about. Now, we're very prepared. And yes, I have a script, despite rumors, right? And we write the music, I write a musical script. I write a written script, and I write a visual script, and I bring it all together. We're very prepared, but on the day when we shoot, we're very dexterous. Now we have the footage. So then we go into post, and I don't think that process stops in post. It's exactly the same. It doesn't matter who's in the post crew, whether they're the smallest contributor or whatever they are, we all collectively own the storytelling. So for example, every time we have a rough cut or a sequence, I get everybody, including the young person who is on the front desk, and all the young kids, we all come in and we screen it and we all talk about it and we collectively own it. Like, I know that for some of the newbies, they go like, this is so weird. Like, we're sitting in there with all the actors and the director, and he's asking questions of someone who's just walked in the door, and they're like, 20, and saying, well, what did you think? Because we really want to know. We really own it. But I will tell you that during the post-production of it, I make my films in layers. And so it's long, long, long hours. It's so much labor to edit and layer like that, because what you're doing is you're cleaving away, you're layering, you're going back and you do it again and again and again and again until you've really got the essence of all the materials that you've harvested really as best and as coherent and as one as possible. So I'm only doing that to shout out to people that don't often get a lot of focus, and that is my whole editorial post-production team, because they live day and night. There is no sign.
That's a really excellent question for us to end our Q&A. Let's thank our guests.